take this wall down. But I guess what it is appreciation for freedom. It's appreciation for emancipation. It comes individually and it comes collectively. And I feel that so much, like when I go to South Africa. When I go, people say, why do you go to South Africa? There's the crime rate and blah, 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 blah. But there's something so ripe and alive in his human spirit. And that's what I feel when I come here. And even though many of you perhaps are not those that grew up here or are even from German heritage, what Berlin had to go through was so much. And I would sometimes visualize what it would be like to one day be able to visit your children and the next day not. You couldn't, overnight you were cut off from those that you loved. And how you had to create a heart communication with other humans, and just that, sure, every night I see him, every day I see him, it's meal after meal, day after day like that. But that having to do a communication beyond the physical and the appreciation for that connection that's beyond face to face. And I know for me, when my daughter, who's now 27, when she was 5 and a half, she would pray. We'd lie in bed together, because we always did family bed, and say, please let Papa make enough money so I can go to India, because we had a school there. Well, we were just starting out in our marriage many years ago, and we didn't have really a set income. And we were both yogis and didn't have particularly strong careers with big incomes, and so it wasn't even that much money. And we were alarmed, first, that she wanted to go, and secondly, the reality is that she did go for 12 years to India. And I learned many, many years ago that I didn't have the freedom, as most mothers did, to greet and meet every morning and every evening, tucking my daughter in bed. But that communication had to come very, very deep from my heart, from another space and place. It's almost like your relationship with God. That if you don't have that relationship, you really don't have much of anything. Because it's so finite, this earth. And to only... I always feel sad when people say, nope, this is all there is. Worms eat you up when you're done. Well, what are you going to do to get the worms to eat you up if that's all there is? And of course, as yogis, we know the reincarnation, we know the karma, we know the divinity, the divine plan that's way, way bigger than just being here one time, long gone. And we have a saying from our scriptures that the soul is unborn, self-illuminated, and undying. So unborn, self-illuminated, and undying. And no matter what you do, you always will be. There's no beginning or end to you. This body, yes, comes and goes. But you won't. Your soul is infinite. And then when you start relating that to all humans, and sometimes I know we get so distraught with maybe the world, or the particular people we know, or people that we have known in history, that people even say they don't have a soul. They couldn't have had a soul to do what they did. But they did have a soul. Everyone has a soul. You don't get back into a body. The soul has to come into the body. There's nobody walking around on planet Earth without that possibility of infinite connection. But there's only a few that have that infinite connection, and you are those people sitting here today. Doesn't make you any better. In fact, it gives you more responsibility to help others. If you have the experience of knowing that it would be the best thing you could do to help other people to know. And we found throughout all these years of teaching, for me it's about 40 years, that the best way for the knowing is to help teach yoga and meditation. It's probably at this time in time and space and in history the greatest offering you can give to the world. Yes, you could go and be part of a program, and many of us do, and it's very good that you do, to help feed the poor, to help find jobs for people. Education is big. Helping children, helping people who are less fortunate than us, physically, mentally, spiritually. But the best way out of their karmic plight, you might say, is to liberate their soul, so that they never be a victim again. And when you're not a victim in this lifetime, you'll never reincarnate back as a victim again. Meaning you'll never come back with deficits, as many people do. And to me, breath, meditation, yoga is such a good gateway, creating faith, creating a foundation of a relationship with Creator, and that's all that breath really is all about. We get caught up in our asana, we get caught up in levels, we get caught up in perfection, we get caught up basically in ego. It can take you somewhere, but it will not ever take you where your soul wants you to go. Does it mean you don't do asana? Does it mean you don't try to do best? And no, you do. Because you give every practice up to Creator, who made your body, who gives you your breath, who takes your breath away, who gives you your first breath. There's some funny stories of this one man. He was a carpenter and he was on a rooftop, and he starts slipping to probably a fatal injury from the top of a high roof. And so what most people do, what do? They call out God, even if they don't believe in God. God, God, help me, please help me. As he was sliding. And one of those hooks on his pants, you know, the kind that hold the hammers or the tools, it hooked on the side and of something that saved his life. And then he said, someone said, God came and helped you. He says, no, a hook caught my pants. So we step in and out. When we need it bad, we call upon him, and other than that, we think we're in control. But it's an interesting thing, because some people give their whole selves away to God as though Creator's outside of you, which means, well, I couldn't help it. It's all God's will, it's all God's will, it's all God's will, you know. But God and you are one. So it's really your will. But you is not ego. So to just put it on the outside, what can I do? God just made me become an alcoholic, or God just made me eat that chocolate cake, or God made me just be mad. I can't help it. That's just the way I am. No, it's not. If we have a special chant, we chant God and me and God are one. And when you have that experience in your meditation and your asana practice, then you know that you're in control, but the you is not the ego, it's your spirit. Spirit that is connected with breath. And as Patricia knows so well, in pregnancy yoga and in delivery, if you get in your mind, that baby won't come out. If you try to birth your baby from your head, what happens is you get an adrenaline rush. Adrenaline rush is opposite of what is needed to bring the baby out, and it's the connection with the divine, which is your breath. And that's what happens. People think they're the doers, and they pump themselves with adrenaline. In America, a big popular drink, you'll see it on sides of billboards and trucks, is Red Bull. Do you have that here?
Yeah.
It is so filled with caffeine and God knows what other stuff that it makes a person feel very powerful, but falsely powerful. It makes them feel like their minds can do anything, and their bodies are rough and tough, and they're just going to go that way. You know, just beat their way through life, cut their way through life, fight their way through life. That's not it either. Go back to breath. Breath gives you that strength and that connection with the divine. And we know it to be true. We've all experienced it. That's why you come into yoga classes. Why? Because afterwards, how do you feel? You feel better. Why do you feel better? Because you're connected. You know David Praval and Mitton, right? The singers from your country, yeah? Does everyone know David Praval and Mitton, the musicians? Yeah? He plays this one song, he says, looking for connection. Everyone's looking for connection. There's no one not looking for connection. The only way, though, to really get connection with the world and with others is to find the connection within yourself. And I've found the best way to find it is through that path of gratitude. And just saying thank you. And then the magic begins. The absolute magic begins. And you can come back when you didn't believe it was going to happen. If you lost the connection, how hard life gets and how easy life gets when you keep that connection of gratitude. It happens every day. It happens probably every single moment when you stay with that connection. Yesterday, we had just finished 2 big teachers' trainings in New York. I was there the last 10 days of pregnancy teachers' training, and then our level 1. And someone had taken my Havana flip-flops. Do you know what Havana flip-flops are? I wear them. I live on them. You know, you put your toes in, you run in and out. I don't know if people wear them. Do people wear them here? Mm-hmm. I mean, flip-flops are like one of the best ways to go. You have to have a good flip-flop, and then you can walk for miles in your flip-flops. Well, lo and behold, our director in New York was becoming very upset with the mess because there were so many people coming out, so many kids, so many families from the 2 graduations and the potlucks and food all over. And she told the cleaning girl, she says, throw everything out that's on the shoe rack, which was kind of drastic, actually. And I had these beautiful Havana flip-flops that I traveled that someone had actually given me in Antwerp, Belgium, but they were from South Africa. And they fit just right, you know? You don't rub between the toes, and they were just classic. I could have worn them forever. I'd had them for 2 years. And the girl threw them out. And she said, well, somebody did research on it. And she said, well, I thought I shouldn't throw them out, but Rachel told me to throw them out. And so I threw them out. And in New York, when you throw out, you put your garbage at night, it's gone. Or people go through the garbage. So the first thing I did, I prayed that someone got the flip-flops and are wearing them someplace in New York. And so what to do? I needed my flip-flops, but at the same time, I didn't want to be attached to these flip-flops, but I wanted them. And I go through a lot of being mad at the cleaning girl for being so, quote, stupid, and for Rachel being so drastic, and put me through a lot of changes. But meanwhile, I'm teaching and carrying on. So where to get the flip-flops? I needed them before we flew. And I had one day. So someone went online and said, well, they're at Bloomingdale's, which is only a block away, so you can go get them and they have them. So I go to Bloomingdale's and I have a half hour in between. I said, I need Havana flip-flops. And I look at them, they're all gigantic. They're like this big. And I said, what's going on? Women don't even have feet that big, I don't think. Or that many of them. And she said, well, I'll check in the back stock. Thank God she was a nice girl. Sometimes everyone isn't so nice in New York. They're like that. So she went downstairs. She disappeared. She came back and she says, well, there's nothing. She gave me a size 6. Size 6 is too big, and I usually wear 6. I said, I can't wear them. I know they won't be. Do you have any 5? She says, no. She says, there's no 5s. I said, check one more time, would you please? It was okay. And she was nice. She checked. I said, I'll take any color. I mean, they were terrible colors. They were bright pinks. I didn't even care. Well, meanwhile, she's checking. This girl's sitting there, and I know her. I know her from when she was a little girl from LA. I was telling Brian this story. So she's saying, we were talking because her parents would come to yoga for years, and then she came, and now she's in New York, and we were talking, and she wanted to buy these 2 pairs of shoes. One pair was really ugly. I told her, but I think she bought them anyway. I didn't say it. Not good. But anyways, so then we start chatting. Meanwhile, the girl's looking for the flip-flops. You're doing something else. I don't know what. It seems like a long time to look at my watch. I get back and teach at 1. But this wonderful girl that imparts this incredible story that probably I went there to hear this story. So she said, I got married 2 days ago. You got married? Who did you marry? And she said, oh, it's a pretty amazing story. I knew this, she's 32, and the guy is 33. I've known her for 20 years. We grew up in Los Angeles, and we went to the same high school. And we were really good friends, but we were never dated, never boyfriend, girlfriend. And we had many other relationships, and we'd always come back and talk to each other and just keep in touch in that way. And we were like brother and sister. And I kept in touch with him, but we kind of fell out of touch the last couple of years. And I'm walking down the streets of New York, and there he is. Well, looking, what are you doing? What are you doing? Well, they were both worked in production, and they both had good jobs, and everything was going swell for them. And they just looked at each other and was like, they got married. And you want to know what the killer of this is? She said, and I didn't even have to change my name. Because we both have the same last name. Their last name is Cohen. And the parents know each other. I mean, that was like, that just took me out of time and space. It took me into the infinite realm where Creator lives and the divine plan lives. So we're exclaiming over that. And the woman walks out, this wonderful African-American young girl. I wanted to hug her or kiss her, but it's not so appropriate in New York. I don't think it really is. I told her I wanted to. They were size 5. And they were gold, my favorite color. Totally from top to bottom. They far surpassed the one the girl had thrown away. And they had a little, you'll see them out there, they had a little round flower that was gold and sparkling, right here. It was like a magic moment. And if I didn't, with that and with this color girl, that if I hadn't, those are the kind of moments that you just say, okay, Creator, you really are prevailing. You really are running this whole show 24/7. Not just once in a while when I'm calling upon you when I'm falling from a roof, you know? And I've just gotten used to over the years to just look at most everything as a miracle, even when you don't understand it, even when it's challenging, even when you're just like, oh, why? For instance, yesterday, we left everybody. We did this thing, I was telling Brian, we had about 45 people in New York Teachers Training at Golden Bridge. And I decided, I've done this in Boulder, kind of like a court, like I have 2 hours, what am I going to do? And I said, okay, break up in a buddy system. And by that time, they were all getting to know each other really well in the Teachers Training in Boulder, and sit across from each other. And I want you to commit to changing 3 things in your life for 40 days. Because 40 days has a pattern. You can do it for 40 days, the brain rethinks the old condition. Like say you stop smoking for 40 days. Chances are you can do it the rest of your life. And I said, just sit and think of 3 things. Talk about 3 things you want to change, like add, detract. It first started out with food. And then it went on and on. People could not, because the food we eat indicates our mental state anyway. So then people started going on and on about their lives. And it was so beautifully received that I decided I'd do it in New York again too. And it was our last. We had done graduation Saturday night, and Sunday was like our play day with lots of yoga, kriyas, and all that. And so sure enough, and then they have, we say, it was Sunday afternoon live at Golden Bridge with the mic. And so they each had to take the mic, the hand mic, and pass it back and forth. So they came up as couples, and they talked about their lives, and they talked about this, and they talked about that. And it was just so beautiful. We cried, we laughed, we cheered, we clapped. For every single person with this one girl, she was a little bit round, and she had worked really hard, and I think she was working hard to create a beautiful self-image. And she said, I always want to sing in front of everyone, so I started taking singing lessons. And then we made her sing. And she sang so beautiful. This kind of jazzy, May the Long Time Sun Shine Upon You, our closing song. that we were all full of tears. And then somebody else got up and talked about their home life. And this one man from Switzerland, he's married to an American woman, and they have 2 very beautiful children. No, they have one, like a 7-year-old. And so he was trying to say in his beautiful accent how going home at night, it was such a mess. The apartment was such a mess that all he did was want to say about the mess. And he was frustrated also, like, what have you been doing all day to the wife, because of the mess. And so we helped him to reconstruct his way of returning home and finding something good and nice to say to his family. And another thing came up, that his daughter, in the morning before school, wants a pancake, and she always wants, is it called Nutella? That chocolate stuff on the pancake. And he was, as a child, restricted to different foods. And so it brought up a lot for him, that he felt that he should tell her only on Saturdays, can you have the chocolate? Okay. So first of all, if you don't want her to have the chocolate, why do you have it in the house? And it came up that he liked it. So it was a lot. This is what we layered, and this is what we found out in this beautiful, it was like 8 hours with these people, in and out, up and down. And it was just so fun to watch the hand of God develop this, and then to watch the hand of the Creator help people way in the back. Well, why don't you do this, and why don't you do that? And then we affirmed it, and that was the beauty. He says, I am coming home every night and saying something beautiful and positive to my wife. I am singing, not just in the shower, but out in whatever. And it was so beautiful to watch people work together, to trust together. And it was, again, making the connection in turning it over into gratitude instead of why me, like the victim coming home to the mess in the apartment. How could he turn it over? So then we suggested to him, why don't you help clean it up? And that worked out pretty good too. Like to be able to turn over everything that seems like, why me? Why did the girl throw my flip-flops out? To knowing that it had a bigger and a better outcome for that having happened. And it's a flip all the time. We started out at a reasonable time to the airport yesterday, but the traffic was so bad, it was double the time upon arrival at JFK. And it was what? Triple the time. And the driver was very, it was a car service, so he wasn't going to get any more money. If it had been a taxi, he would have been, who cares? So he was very angry about that. And we couldn't find the right terminal for Air Berlin. It was saying all different. So we thought, I was on the phone with Brian, I'm so sorry, but it looks like we're going to have to cancel the first class because there was no way we were going to make the 5:20 flight because we didn't arrive until like 4:30, 20 to 5, and by the time you go through security, luggage, the whole thing. And so we finally get there after whirling around JFK, going up and down freeways and byways, and not that terminal. It's 8, no it's 1, no it's 4. And we finally got, that's it, this little TV sign. So we get to the airport after Gershoven had some disturbances with the driver. And we get up, and this lovely woman, this lovely German woman, was just no problem. Love you, children. I mean, as cool as a cucumber. And a lot of those people at the front, they are not cool. They're almost going to get off their shift. They have 10 cups of coffee, or oh, here comes somebody else. And just no problem. It was so like God speaking straight through her mouth. And what had happened was, of course, the flight had been delayed. Only long enough that it came down an hour late here. But it was very beautiful. Again, the hand of God, the hand of God, the hand of Creator. And God may not be a word you like. Some people don't like that word, God. Backwards is dog. Did you know that mom is one of the few words that you can turn it backwards, it's still mom. So, you watch the hand of the infinite, the divine, the mother, whatever you don't plug in, and perhaps you started yoga with just the physical intent to lose weight, have more energy. Everybody tells you, doctor tells you, or yoga's so hip and you got to do it. And then you get into the competitive and comparative mind, which is the Western mind in the first place. And then somewhere along the line you have the experience of breath. And you have the experience of the possibility that this is bigger than just a physical going to the gym. And that's what takes you over to the across the world ocean, we might say, to connect with the Creator, to connect with the infinite within yourself, and having that experience of God and me and God are one. So tonight, with the greatest gratitude in our hearts, we're here, and we'll carry on. But one thing we have to do to break through the ego is to really work, as many of you know. And we say work is a worship. And if we could just sit here like this and eat potato chips and keep watching TV and become liberated, it in a sense would be great, but that isn't usually what happens. We usually have to work, and most of us, if we study the ancient ones of how long the yogis had to be in caves, how many years they'd be in silence or holding one posture for hours, the austerities that they did, that then they've given or offered to us, the practice that you all do, is pretty mind-blowing. I do think, though, in many ways, that we've done all that. We've all been in caves, we've all been yogis, we've all done that. And now is our job, or our karma, or our destiny to come back and live in the world. Become householders if that's your destiny. Get a job, pay your bills, keep your physical body in good health with everything out there that says differently. It's what we came back to do. And it's also our offering to help the world and to bring peace within yourself. So many of the people that got up yesterday in the live mic show, they were frustrated, or they weren't at peace with themselves, or they wanted to change somebody. This one girl was so ranting and raving. I just can't stand it when I read in the paper how a man has abused a woman. I want to just go up and just wring his neck, like that doesn't help either.